here are 3 reasons why I'm still buying Dogelon Mars. First of all, it's because I like its room for growth. Even though this isn't financial advice, even despite Dogelon Mars pumping by quite a significant margin, by the way, much like I predicted, I still do believe there's a ways to go because a $10 billion market cap, that is my target for it during this bull run. And if you're wondering what price it would have at that point, it is on the screen. But even besides that, why do I think that this is realistic? First of all, it's because if you take a look at Dogecoin at one point reaching over 80 billion, Shiba Inu at its peak reaching around 40 billion. Now, keep in mind, this was all back in 2021, a time with far less crypto owners, around 300 million at the peak of that bull run. Now there's over 600 million, according to Crypto.com research. Not to mention, back then, far less information, far less content. People didn't really know much about meme coins. This time around, Dogelon Mars, something this special with a community this passionate, this amazing, it can't reach a $10 billion market cap? Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing why that wouldn't be the case. Dogelon Mars is listed in over 25 major exchanges. This isn't a bad meme coin with bad exposure by any means, at least in my perspective. Now, we have to take into consideration as well. A $10 billion market cap is around a 50x from here. So theoretically, if I were to put $1,000 into Dogelon Mars right now, and let's say again, it were to go to a $10 billion market cap, at that point, that $1,000 would hypothetically be worth 50. Now, this isn't a guarantee, and of course, again, this isn't financial advice. And also, on the flip side, it's not going to make anyone a millionaire by any means necessary, but the way you take a look at it is that this is pretty good. People like to say that, oh wow, if it's not a 1000x, if it's not at least like a 2000x, it's bad. Well, I'm going to disagree on that because again, a 50x I think is absolutely amazing, hypothetically, and anything over 10x I think is a big bonus. So I don't see why this is bad at all. People like to say that, oh yeah, Dogelon Mars isn't this microcap. Well, it isn't, but I still think it has that room for growth. People like to say that if you're so much into upside, why don't you get into some random microcap? Again, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for something extremely risky like that. But on the flip side, I'm not looking for a dinosaur like a Shiba Inu or Dogecoin. Now, granted, there's going to be risk with anything. Of course, I think that's going to be the case. However, this is more mitigated in a sense. Like, it's not as dangerous in my perspective as a microcap. I think the risk to reward ratio is still there. When it comes to Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, it's a little bit boring. This one, I think it's the perfect balance in between. It's like eating steak, but then it's with the right amount of salt. You know what I mean? Not too little, not too much. But even besides that, people like to say, oh, Dogelon Mars doesn't have the fundamentals. It doesn't have the prerequisites to reach a $10 billion market cap during this bull run. Well, I'm going to disagree on that. And this actually brings me to my second reason as to why I'm still buying Dogelon Mars. And that is because I think it's one of the best meme coins out there. Keep in mind, when it comes to Dogelon Mars, I get it. It's another dog-themed meme coin. However, it's actually doing things that some other meme coins don't even bother doing. For instance, they have a layer 2 in the works called Rufus. Now, Rufus, in my opinion, is very similar to Shibarium, which is Shiba Inu's layer 2. We all know the wonders that did for Shiba Inu. Now, granted, people don't think it's the biggest thing ever for Shiba Inu, but it did gain a lot of fans and hype when it comes to that, at least when it launched. Now, people like to say that, okay, a meme coin isn't supposed to have a good use case. Well, in my opinion, it at least needs to show some effort, because if a meme coin is completely useless, in this day and age especially, I'm not talking about years ago, people don't really like that, at least from what I've seen. I'm not saying that a meme coin that is quote-unquote completely useless can't do well. However, I think to stand out, there needs to be at least some effort shown, and this does showcase that. Not to mention, you take a look at, they also have a metaverse in the works, which allegedly, by the way, is set on Mars. And this is going to be done by integrating AI to create immersive and interactive virtual experiences. However, even besides that, I do want to harp back a little bit. When it comes to Rufus, it is designed to reduce gas fees and support a GameFi ecosystem. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool again when it comes to its layer 2. However, let's say beyond that point, why could this metaverse be great in my opinion? Well, it's not going to be the best out there, but I think it's going to be great, relatively speaking, for this project in a sense that it can really gain momentum and hype. Now, people like to say that, okay, yeah, it's not going to be the best ever. Well, it's not. But then it doesn't really matter because people just want to know that something puts effort. It's like, for instance, when people buy an off-road vehicle, let's say they buy a Range Rover, I think there's a very high likelihood that the average individual isn't going to go traversing in Utah or Colorado or something like that. So again, if the car is primarily just going to be on the road, why are they still getting an off-road vehicle anyways? It's because I think in some cases, they just want to know that the car can do that, even though they are not necessarily going to do that. It's like, for instance, someone who believes in Dogelon Mars, they may not really even care about Rufus or the metaverse. However, they just want to know that it's at least trying to do something, if that makes sense. So I think when it comes to Dogelon Mars, it has the right optics, if that makes sense. Because having good optics do matter. If a project is really good, but people view it as lazy, then it's just very difficult to gain this very passionate following. But when it comes to Dogelon Mars, it has a perceived persistence and diligence in a sense. And keep in mind, Dogelon Mars has this special aura. It has this it factor in a sense that when you create a project, let's say someone does that. Sure, they can design the project to be fundamentally amazing. They can design it to be fun, exciting, whatever the case may be. But I think something that can be designed or preemptively decided before the project even fully launches is the fact that the community is going to be great. That's very hard to do because when you take a look at it, for instance, there's a lot of actors out there, but usually it's these small group of actors that gain a lot of attention, a lot of hype. It's because sometimes they have that it factor, if that makes sense. When it comes to Dogelon Mars, for whatever reason, it's this project that people just gravitate towards. The community is very passionate. It's very amazing. Not every single meme coin is like this, by the way. Take a look at Book of Meme, a very famous meme coin, a Solana-based meme coin. You know, that right there historically has done very well. But the community, in my opinion, doesn't have that passion. It doesn't have that drive. Again, it's hard to have that for a project. It's very rare. And Dogelon Mars, it has that box tick. But why would it not? It's listed in over 25 major exchanges, like I mentioned earlier in the video. You know, it's at least trying to do something. And not to mention, the statistics do show that the community is very passionate. There's over 100,000 holders. Even despite me talking about Dogelon Mars back then, when the price was really doing bad, keep in mind, the amount of holders was still holding very strong. So when you take a look at this, this is something that is, I think, going to stand the test of time. I think that when people like to say that, oh, the name needs to be changed and all this, I disagree. I think it's a unique name. I think it's absolutely amazing. Not to mention the community is very passionate. It's a no-brainer pick for me, and I think it's one of the best meme coins out there. Now, the third and final reason why I'm still buying Dogelon Mars is because, as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. If you take a look at Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, he does predict that in the next 1 to 2 years, based on a video that he was a part of back in November of last year in 2024, he did say that again, 1 to 2 years from then, he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. Keep in mind, that's a most bullish case scenario, $500,000. If let's say Bitcoin were to go to his worst case scenario price target, $250,000, and considering his best case scenario timeline a year from November, so that's November this year, if Bitcoin, let's say, were to do that, a $10 billion market cap for Dogelon Mars at that point may seem a little bit bearish in my opinion. However, what is another hypothesis, or let's say another piece of evidence that could very well support that this could very well happen in 2025? You take a look at, historically speaking, altcoins, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event as a worst case scenario. The last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April of last year, so 18 months from then is around October this year. So again, 2025 could be a special year. Only time will tell. It could maybe happen a little bit earlier, a little bit later. We don't really know. However, it does give a good benchmark. Not to mention, again, like I mentioned in the first part of the video, if you have over 600 million crypto owners, which that actually is the case, allegedly, according to Crypto.com research, I highly doubt that this bull run is going to be bad. I think it's going to be so amazing. I think as the bull run keeps on progressing, as Bitcoin goes to the next level, 150,000, 200,000, maybe even a lot more beyond, who knows? Dogelon Mars, I think it's going to go along with the ride. I think it's a very special and unique meme coin, and a $10 billion market cap wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And what I mean by buying is I'm not just randomly dumping all in. Throughout this whole time, I've been dollar cost averaging, holding, anytime an income again, right? Acquiring, holding, and just waiting, because a $10 billion market cap wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's only the captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm up. Peace. Bye.